Psychology is the scientific study of overt and covert behaviors. Overt behaviors are behaviors that you can see and observe, such as dancing, using facial expressions, and talking. Covert behaviors are behaviors that occur in private, so you're not able to see them right away, such as thinking, dreaming, and making choices. Psychology has four main goals. These goals are to describe behavior, to understand why behavior occurs, to predict behavior, and to ultimately control behavior. The first goal of psychology is to describe behavior, or name or classify the behavior. Understanding behavior often begins with an accurate description of what the behavior looks like. Often the description includes who, what, when, where, and how of the behavior. For example, we know that people are less likely to help someone in need when they are in a group than when they are by themselves. So people, the who, are less likely to help someone in need, what, and when they're in a group rather than when they're by themselves. So again, we're describing the behavior, but we're not really talking about why the behavior occurs. Description does not tell us why the behavior occurs. It just helps us to understand what the behavior looks like when it does occur. The second goal of psychology, understanding, allows us to explain why a behavior occurs. For example, as we talked about a moment ago, people are less likely to help someone when they are in a group rather than when they are alone, because they perceive that other people could help and thus feel less responsible for helping overall. Understanding why behaviors occur and what impacts the behaviors, so the conditions under which the behaviors occur, like being in a group or being alone, helps us to predict whether or not the behavior will occur in the future. Prediction is psychology's third goal. Prediction is the ability to accurately anticipate or forecast behavior. In other words, to predict that a behavior is likely to occur in the future. So we've been discussing the fact that people are less likely to help someone when they're in a group rather than when they're alone, because they perceive that other people could help and thus feel less personally responsible for helping. As a result, we can accurately predict that an individual is less likely to receive help when they're in a large group than when there's just a few people around, and more likely to receive help when there are just a few people around than when he or she is in a large group. Prediction is helpful when making decisions and for understanding how to control a behavior. Control is the fourth goal of psychology. Control refers to the ability to alter the conditions that affect behavior and as a result alter the behavior itself. Some examples include teaching kids conflict resolution skills to reduce inappropriate behavior like fighting, providing activities and attractions for individuals who are waiting in line to reduce their frustration and their expressions of anger while waiting. You see examples of this at Disney World and other such places. And then sleeping for 8 hours a night before a test to increase alertness and memory. Although psychology is the scientific study of behavior and often includes structured observations and experiments and sampling and all kinds of complicated procedures, the goals of psychology really do have everyday life implications. An example that comes to mind that many of you may relate to is that I've noticed that if I bring my 2-year-old to the store without bringing a snack, then she is likely to throw a tantrum while we're there. And so I've noticed this behavior over time and have gotten very good at being able to describe what that tantrum looks like. What I've come to understand is that my child throws a tantrum because she's hungry and wants something to eat, and she doesn't have the verbal skills yet to communicate her needs to me. And so the way she's choosing to communicate those needs is by throwing a tantrum. So I predict that if I bring my child to the store without a snack and without teaching her to appropriately communicate that she is hungry, she will be likely to throw a tantrum. The way I will control her tantrums is by bringing a snack for her and teaching her to say, "Snack, please." And by doing these two things, I will reduce the likelihood that she will throw a tantrum while at the store.